good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching or listening to this, and welcome to another episode of the Non-Identity Podcast. Tonight we're joined by a fellow podcast host, a personal development coach, successful author with a series of books, including his newest addition to the series, How to Be Successful Thinking Like a Leader. It's McCoy. Welcome to the show.
Actually, I'm glad to be on your show.
Right, before we get into your book, can you just let everyone know roughly about where you grew up and what life was like as a child where you was?
I grew up in a pretty rough home with not a real good dad, I'd say. I mean, to the point of beating on me, telling me that I'm a waste of oxygen, a waste of skin, and one day handing me a loaded .357 Magnum pistol and telling me to do the world a favor, meaning commit suicide. I focus less on that, the negative kind of junk. I survived brain cancer. I've got diabetes. I've had seizures for years. A lot of those kind of things. But people wouldn't know that looking at me online because, I appear to be the successful guy with, I've got hundreds of thousands of followers and stuff. But I typically in these, I've got that question about, kind of how you grew up or the struggles or circumstances you've dealt with. I like to tell people that everybody goes through junk. We've all got terrible stuff we deal with, whether that was abuse or failed relationships or just there's all kinds of stuff that maybe you lost your parents when you were young. So we're all dealing with junk. It's just successful people push on and they become successful because they continue to focus on the future and where they're at now and not about the past and what they've gone through.
Going through all that, how do you stay positive and motivated every day? Because we all feel like life kicks us in the teeth sometimes.
That's another great question, Lee. So one of the things is if you're down, if you're depressed, if you've got, if you're having just a crappy day, it's okay to let yourself have a down day and kind of relax and just get recentered there. But one of the biggest things that I do is I'm constantly reading books, personal development books. I listen to podcasts. I'm excited to be listening to your podcast in the future here. I'll get subscribed to that. And also unsubscribe, unfriend, unfollow people that are constantly dropping profanity. They're cussing. They're talking about how bad their life sucks. They're talking about the negative stuff. I'll just, I don't need to comment something negative back and start a disagreement. But I'll just unfollow that person so that my news feed is always full of positive, uplifting, encouraging stuff. And so that's the biggest thing for me is surrounding myself with good people and making sure that influence is intentionally good rather than focusing on the negative stuff in this world.
And do you feel with the growth of social media and how accessible people are with connecting with each other, people find it harder to try and filter out the positive because there's so much negative can be directed towards people at a click of a button?
Social media algorithms they feed you what you focus on. So if, for example, in the United States, the political parties, there's, the left and right, Republicans versus Democrats, and everybody is very, again, they're very set in their own opinions. And if you comment on something, say there's a president that I disagree with, and I start commenting, this guy's an idiot, oh, what a fool, some kind of thing like that. So Facebook, as an example, sees that, hey, Curtis likes to interact with these type of posts, so they're going to feed me more of that negative stuff that I'm already commenting because I don't like it. And so now if I keep commenting, Facebook is their goal, or all the social media's goal, is to keep you on that screen as long as possible. And if they see that you're interacting with the stuff that you don't like, they're going to feed you more of it because that generates more ad revenue. So I just mute, unfollow, I just cut that junk out of my life that I'm not interested in. And then the stuff that I'm interacting with, when somebody's sharing a positive story, an inspirational message, they've got a clip from their podcast they've shared the video on, and if it's good stuff, I follow it. And now the social media algorithms automatically, okay, this guy likes positive, encouraging, uplifting stuff. He doesn't want to listen to the junk. He doesn't want to interact with junk, and that's going to cost us ad revenue if we're feeding him junk that he doesn't want to see. So they will automatically, the algorithm will feed me the stuff that I want to, that I'm interacting with most. That's kind of a good example that I would give to your listeners right now is if you're somebody that thinks that social media is constantly full of negative junk, that's because you're interacting with the negative stuff already and telling it, hey, this is what I like.
We said in your intro, you're a personal personal development coach. What is a personal development coach?
So I help everywhere from, I've got coaching clients where some of it is just young folks that are trying to start their first business. They're trying to figure out how to get going. And others of them are very successful businesses that are trying to figure out, how do I lead a team? How do I manage my employees better? How do I make sure that the positivity that I'm sharing at work is filtering down and helping this business owner or this manager become a better husband, wife, manager, leader, parent. It's all about just being kind of maximizing what you were meant to be and becoming the person that God created you to be.
How does it work? So you obviously will get contacted. Do you need to go in and observe people in their business before you can come up with a plan? Or do you go straight in and say, this is what I feel like we need to do moving forward?
I'm starting to do more of the group coaching now. For years I was doing, I was just meeting with people one on one. So a guy would run say a car dealership, and he wants to meet at a local coffee shop. We'd sit down, kind of go over the struggles that he was dealing with in business, the wins, and then try to figure out what's going to be the best way to continue moving forward and growing. But now I'm doing a little bit more of the broadcast messaging where people can get on and they sign up for the service. So the price ranges depending on how many sessions and the level of interactivity you need.
Yeah.
It just completely depends on the person's needs. If there's a business and they're wanting to figure out how to help the sales team work better together, then yeah, I'd come in and I'd watch. We'd have a group discussion back there, and kind of figure out where their hurdles were and how they could maximize what they're already doing.
What do you find more enjoyable, the one-on-one sessions, or are you enjoying the group sessions?
I love all of it. I love people. So you talk to a lot of folks that they're around people all day. They work in a busy place, whatever. Back when I used to work, I owned 3 retail stores and had dozens of employees and stuff. And back when I had to show up at the office every day, I'd get done. I'd work a 12, 14-hour shift and leave, and I'd go out and get to the grocery store, get to the coffee shop, go try to meet somebody where I could be surrounded with people again, because that's how I recharge. So I love the personal conversations like you and I are having now, but I also love being around groups of people. I love speaking on stage and just being able to connect with the audience. So
before you ever go out on stage, is there any nerve?
every single time I've spoke at Caesar's Palace and some pretty cool venues, San Antonio, Atlanta, large venues, but yeah, every single time I've still got those kind of the stage fright, the nerves or whatever. But I think the more that you do it, if you're looking to become a better personal speaker or better public speaker, you just continue to do it. Take every opportunity. If somebody's hosting a local event, there are always, daily there's events on Facebook or different places you can find where there's speeches going on. So start volunteering, even if you're scared. If you get to where you're not ever scared, you're a whole lot better speaker, a whole lot better developed than I am.
Why did you decide to start writing books?
So I actually, I don't know if you've heard my story or not, but I survived a malignant glioblastoma brain tumor, was given 60 to 90 days to live back in 2010. And that was after I'd built successful companies I owned a cosmetic medical laser clinic, a company that manufactured bioidentical injectable research peptides, so basically a white label pharmacy, a Christian clothing company, all these businesses very successful, and then lost absolutely everything because I was having these seizures all the time. I had a seizure at the Denver Coliseum where I was hosting an event with Andy Hammond, who's an IFBB pro bodybuilder.
Yeah.
He actually recently passed away, but just a good dude. We got there, felt like king of the world, had 18 guys, bodybuilders following me around. I'd snap and, hey, we're heading over here. And all these guys are wearing my logo around and kind of on top of the world. And then with these seizures, lost absolutely everything and ended up couldn't even live alone, couldn't drive, I was sleeping on my parents' floor. And so we started because they didn't know if I was going to die in the middle of the night. But my mom was talking to me saying, why don't you start another company? You love business. You love building business and helping people and being surrounded by people. Why don't you start another business? And here I couldn't even drive myself to the business I was trying to open because of the seizures. But I printed up some little flyers and started repairing iPhone screens. This is back 2010, so it was a lot easier to do back then.
Yeah.
We fly around the town. My mom would drive me around to the grocery store as a probably 24-year-old guy, something like that, 25-year-old guy, and hanging up flyers like a little kid trying to mow lawns. But as that took off and grew, and it kept doing good business, people would just offering good prices, good service, and making sure that the customer was always happy. And sometimes that ended up costing me money, but I made sure that I was there to serve the customer and not just make money. And as that grew, we ended up turning that into a company that we launched bestseller, opened the first, second, third retail store, turned that into a nationwide telecommunications company
Wow.
that at the end we were on track to do $986 million a year in revenue, USD.
Wow.
So I mean that's not profit. The revenue sounds a lot better than
Yeah.
profit was much smaller, so I say revenue because I sound cooler. 250,000 customers a month hitting the site, and so I've understood, going from being flat broke, literally sleeping on my parents' floor, to launching successful companies and doing that multiple times, and so now I'm able to help other people do that as well. I love the being able to provide and create a sustainable business that something where employees can grow, and we give every employee the ability to launch their own stores as well.
Oh,
So if you wanted to grow, save up money, and start your own company, rather than having to pay franchise fees like most of the companies did,
yeah.
I'd make that, hey, it's 100% free. You're a licensee. You can design the store how you want it. We'll give you access to all the logos, the graphics, the paint codes, and make sure that store is exactly the way you want it to be. But then now you've got the guidance to be able to continue growing it and make sure that it turns into a successful business. So we ran that for over 10 years and had a very successful company, and then just recently finally closed that all down, and I'm doing more of the speaking and publishing books and stuff. So
as we said, the newest addition to your series of books is how to be successful, thinking like a leader. Do you have a copy there you can show everyone what it looks like? So available on Amazon.
Yep.
There it is.
Well, and it's not just Amazon. Pretty much every book's available on Amazon.
Yeah.
This one is available at Walmart, Barnes & Noble, every major retailer. You can go to your local library and ask them for a copy of the book. If they don't have it in stock, it's available through the wholesale ordering, so the libraries can even get it to you.
Oh, brilliant. And obviously, without giving too much away for people to read it, what roughly is it about?
That's another great question. There's so many success books. I would say 99 out of 100 success books are one author telling you how they want, how they think you should be successful. And a lot of those authors are successful because of the books, not because they did anything, and not because they actually know, but because they're a good writer and they know how to put together a good story and make you feel like, get you hyped up and feel like you can achieve something. My book is not that same way. It's I interviewed people like the inventor of the MP3 player.
Oh, wow.
Church leader. So go from a church leader to a felon, ex-convict.
Yeah.
Who now the ex-convict has become very successful. So he's made himself wealthy and stuff as well, but doing the right things now. I've got a guy that owns franchiseseller.com and Venture Advocates, who was interviewed in the book. We used to ride mountain bikes together, so he's just we had personal connection, but also being able to share his insights on how he's made and sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of companies. And so it's a kind of cool thing. We've got those interviews, and I ask everybody the same questions about their insights on success and leadership. There's a couple of chapters in there where I'm talking about two different homeless guys. One of the guys I met when he was driving a twin turbo Ferrari. I mean, he's just, he'd become very successful building a trust company. But when I was talking to him, he had been homeless in the past. So it was a good story of how he came up because of the choices that he made and how he became very successful. And another homeless guy who was cussing at me, screaming at me because he called me the rich effing prick in the Jaguar. I drove by in a nice car. And so just, it's kind of life, kind of insights where you can take your own, kind of build your own advice out of that by listening to these incredible leaders who are telling you how to become successful from their own view and asking the same questions made to where that you can kind of, it's not some author that's getting rich off of books. I've spent more advertising and promoting the books than I ever have made back, even selling. On my biggest day was 786 books in one day sold. And I still spend more money advertising than I ever have made back on it. So my goal is not to get rich on the book. It's just
to share the advice. Did you learn anything interviewing these other people while he's writing the book?
Oh man, absolutely. Anytime you can get around leaders who have made incredible, if they've been incredibly successful, typically on the back end they've also become, they've also had some massive failures. And when you surround yourself by successful people who are living, who are in a position you want to be in, if you get a chance to talk to them or read a book where they're sharing their insights on here's what I would do if I would do it again.
You had 30 seconds with yourself when you was younger, but it wouldn't change any outcomes of the way your life journey went. What advice would you give to yourself?
So growing up like I did with abusive father and
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff, I had, even being like captain of the football team and, the wrestling, kind of the, I was all state national, competed on the all state national champions touring team. And, but I get done, everybody looked at me from the outside as if I was some kind of stud,
yeah,
the jock athlete guy.
yeah,
But then, you know, I felt like I had absolutely no value because I was being raised with you are a waste of skin, you're a waste of oxygen.
yeah,
Do the world a favor and kill yourself. And so it took years for me to finally figure out that maybe I do have some value, maybe I do matter, maybe I've got a story to share with others. But my advice would be to somebody, if you're maybe you're in a maybe you're a young guy listening to this and trying to a young kid listening to this and trying to figure out how do I keep going another day and not kill myself, or how do I feel better about myself, how do I connect with people better. But if you could just start taking the time to read books, listen to podcasts, listen to audiobooks, get a subscription on Audible and start listening to, every time a book comes out, get that credit and re-listen to it, take notes, you'll gain that confidence, and you'll also have the ability to connect and help others as you're bringing that good, positive information. I'm reading and surrounding myself and taking in this good information, so
yeah.
I've got my own personal experience to look back on. But also, if I know that I'm going to meet with a coffee shop, I'm going to read books on roasting and on distribution and on all kinds of different stuff to make sure that I understand when I meet with them, I know their problem. And but you can do that as well. Just start reading books on stuff that you're interested in,
Yeah.
and you'll put yourself on a higher level than the other people that you're competing with the space for.
The nail on the head. Everything you said is about you and yourself. I think people spend so much time trying to please others that we don't look after ourselves. And I think once you get yourself right, you can then give yourself out to everyone else. So I think it's about starting within. But I think a lot of people do it the other way. They try to please everyone else around them, and it becomes very overwhelming or very hard. But as you said, you've got to get yourself right. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been a brilliant conversation, and hopefully we can catch up again soon in the future. Good luck with everything. And remember, everyone, please, outside of the United States, please go to Amazon to buy the book. And remember, inside the United States, they're also available all over the place, libraries and stores as well.
If you want to connect with me, I
Yeah.
love getting connected with folks on whether it's on Instagram or Twitter. Search M Curtis McCoy. So M period CURTIS MCCOY. I'm active on most social media platforms and got around 660,000 followers combined between that and
Wow.
Amazon Fire TV. If you have an Amazon Fire TV or have the stick, you can get access to that. Check out my show and follow me on Instagram or whatever. Be sure to send me a message, and I'm always happy to connect back. And I'm not trying not to have the big ego and act like I'm too good to follow somebody back.
Thank you again, and we'll speak to you soon.
Appreciate you too, ladies.